Hi there. Welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, I interview successful business leaders and industry experts to share their knowledge and experience to help you grow your business. I truly believe that sometimes a single insight can completely change your business directions and help you achieve your business goals. In this episode, I interview Alfred Engelhardt. Alfred is a CEO at RCATSONE. His company measures customers' experience before they deliver services to their customers. And we talk about a variety of different issues. He's definitely building very technical company in Ontario. We talk about challenges and opportunities while building a company, and I think you will enjoy my discussions, especially around when you're building a right team for your company. What it takes to build a right team, how important it is to build the right team, and what kind of impact you can see in a business when you have the right team to help you achieve your business goals. So before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Your feedback is very important to us. So we always look forward to your feedback. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Have a great one. Hey guys, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. And today my guest is Alfred Engelhardt. Alfred is a CEO at RCATSONE. He's been running a technical business for so long. He has a lot of industry experience. Alfred, I'm looking forward to a discussion. Welcome to podcast today.
Thank you, Gurmeet. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, this is a, very, niche business that you guys run. You solve a lot of problems in the market. So if you just walk us through what, business problem that you guys solve in industry.
So at RCATSONE, difficult name, but I'll explain that after. But
Okay.
We basically do the customer experience. So what that means is, how does your cellular phone sound and perform according to you as a customer?
Okay.
So what we have done is, with our technology, we simulate a customer in a person.
Mm-hmm.
By building a probe and then having these probes all over the network. And we have a variety of actually hardware and software probes. And then the phones will call each other.
Okay.
And actually we then measure the voice quality across the network. Data throughput, jitter, latency, a number of these parameters. We actually have about 250 KPIs that a lot of the mobile providers actually use. Mm-hmm. So in addition, the same technology and the same principle is then used for internet basis. So we can measure ADSL, cable modems, fiber to the home, and we also still do it for the original POTS, which is the traditional telephone landline, mm-hmm. and measure the same for quality, voice quality, transmission, and all of that. Mm-hmm. That's what we do in a nutshell. And then we've used this in a variety of applications for the businesses that we support.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some of those applications as well, Alfred. And also, if you walk us through who's your client, who uses your services, and it's not general business. Something have to be is it careers or who else that goes after that?
So we were fortunate that we have several big companies that actually use our technology. Okay. I don't necessarily want to mention the companies, but in Canada, they are the largest mobile provider. Okay. Also in the United States, they are the largest mobile provider. Then we have customers in Brazil, as well as some other South American countries. We actually do work in India, and we do some work in Singapore. And as of recently, we do some work in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. They are traditionally more the large telecom companies. Okay. That actually then measure this and use these parameters to ensure that their networks are performing to the standards that they require. Mm-hmm. And so you take our information, which measures the last mile, and then truly from an end-to-end perspective. Mm-hmm. And then you correlate it along with the network data that they have. And then it gives you a complete end-to-end picture of how your customer is receiving your service.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Because telecom companies traditionally measured from the network out to the customer. We actually measure from one customer to another customer.
I see. I see.
But that's the difference, and it kind of gives you a unique insight as to where potential other issues are.
I see.
In the telecom industry,
Mm-hmm.
the majority of issues normally happen in the last mile.
Yeah.
So 80% of the problems are normally in the last mile, not necessarily in the core or the network itself. Companies have a really good hand on maintaining that structure. And last mile is sometimes where they lack some visibility. And so this is where we step in and help out.
Yeah. Well, you're truly measuring the customer experience.
Yes.
You know, if what your customer is going to experience, you know, when you give them the product and services, right?
Correct.
So before you guys, how was industry solving this problem? You know, what was the approach traditionally speaking, you know, to this problem that you guys solved for industry?
So we are one of a number of players in this market. We are truly a niche technology from that perspective. The difference with our company versus all the other companies is that our focus and our 100% dedication is to the customer experience. Okay. Whereas the larger companies that are our competition, it's part of a portfolio from them.
See.
So that's the major difference. The other part is also with the providers that we have worked with, we've been able to kind of do some detailed customization to kind of have different test cases, different test plans that pertain to their network, and actually then ensure better quality for their customers in that perspective. So
I see. So before you, they were just how they were measuring, but was there a process to measure it, or was it just a more manual process?
So
Are you guys automated?
Initially, so this technology has been around for the last 12 years.
Okay.
Our company has been in existence about since 2015. We actually bought the technology from one of these larger technologies, who was a side portfolio, and then we focused 100% on this. So a number of companies did employ it, a number of companies don't. Quality assurance from a customer perspective sometimes is very subjective. So a lot of companies depend on their customer care to get the calls and all that, and then they go action this. The advantage of our technology is that we can often detect issues before a number of customer calls come.
It's more proactive approach than a reactive approach after customer complaints.
Correct. And so reducing the complaints reduces your churn of your customer, right? So if you keep your customer quite happy in regards of the service always is consistent, the service works properly. That's the key ingredient of keeping your customer. And losing a customer is so difficult because to gain that customer back, to build that trust again, that's the hard part. So we feel that we contribute a fair part to helping the customer feel comfortable and kind of staying with the service.
Yeah.
The service provider.
Yeah. One is, your customers, they can, they know exactly what they're going to deliver, right? So they when they, doing in a sales process, they can say, confirm that, hey, we're going to deliver this to you. Are you going to buy or not? So even before somebody become a customer, they know the promises that they're making. And the other side is not losing a customer because, they provided exactly what you did. And the third part of that is branding. What does it do for your branding, right? So if you have a good reputation, a good brand, you don't want to have that kind of customer experience for people.
That is so correct. And branding is vitally important. Your name really speaks volumes as to how you deliver the service. So, and what we have seen is that in the past, this branding was not as key for certain smaller companies.
Okay.
But with the advance of technology and 5G becoming more of a lifeline service, everybody is getting a lot more involved in the customer experience piece because it's important.
It's a key.
It becomes a key, right? So you want to say, hey, I am a good player and I am a good provider, and kind of do that. What we're also seeing in the industry is that governments are kind of starting to look at our technology and saying, are the providers, and we've seen this in some of the other countries that we're working in, and been approached by a number of the governments there. Are all the players delivering the product that they promised the customer that they did? Because equivalent to the CRTC or the SEC, the countries that we are dealing with are a lot of South American, Asian countries that are now getting into that part where they're saying, hey, I bought the service, but I'm really not getting the throughput, or I'm really not getting this. And governments want to use a tool like ours to do SLA enforcement and say, hey, we have actual now engineering proof that you are not delivering the product that you promised to your customer, right? And we've seen that in a number of countries that this is happening. So it kind of puts the provider back on notice to say, hey, you have to provide that service, right? Where sometimes they focus on quantity and not necessarily quality. So,
I see.
And it's been a difficult, along with the pandemic, it's been quite a difficult run because majority of countries worldwide said to a lot of the telecom providers, you cannot do your standard method of operandi. You need to make sure that you can do this, you can't do this. So there's a lot of non-pay customers that they couldn't disconnect and all that. It's been a difficult part, but it also helped them maintain the network integrity and network quality.
Yeah.
Or that they make sure that they deliver these services.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the providers who becomes in a spotlight with your product that they have to deliver the product. That's one key. Other part of that is the provider who providing a good coverage, they're providing a good service, and they're providing good bandwidth. It probably provides them competitive advantage over others as well. That, hey, listen, what they promise, hey, listen, we're going to deliver this kind of experience, and here's a proof that we can deliver that in that area.
Yeah, that is so true. And again, it goes to your brand recognition, your brand value, and your brand quality, right? So we're seeing that our niche technology is starting to be used considerably more now than what it had been done in the past, which is great for a small company like ours. We're like 100% Canadian based, and we play on the international market perspective. It's neat to kind of see how our growth has happened. We're, again, like I said, we're not a big company, but we play in the big arena, and we've been able to kind of displace some of these larger service, so test and measurement companies, providing. So the focus of what we do is provide a service to these companies, because with also the telecom environment today is that a lot of people got laid off, so the departments are considerably smaller. So you don't have the dedication of a department anymore to kind of focus on one technology. So what we try to do is provide a white glove service to the provider by creating test plans, doing other parts, making suggestions, working with the provider to ensure that, hey, you're doing these technologies, here's another test capability that you have, and kind of working along and doing that. And that's kind of been the key to our success, is by providing that extra level of service. Talking to the customer weekly, sometimes daily, and kind of helping them move along the path, because especially now with 5G, there's a lot of new pieces that nobody really understands 100%. We will still have to go through some of the trials. But the beauty of 5G is that we understand a lot of the technology, but not necessarily always the behavior. So we just have to kind of see how that develops and progresses. Right? So again, with as much testing that you do on your network, it really helps you being progressive, understanding all your measurements, and understanding how you can kind of rebalance your networks, because with network slicing coming into place, there's a number of these technologies that your throughput and your latency become key important factors in order for you to provide this technology.
Of course. Mm-hmm. So, understanding impact of COVID, let's leave that on a side. But, generally speaking, what you guys do is provide opportunity for company to take a look at what the customer experience is going to be later on. I would assume that it's a huge opportunity for companies. If you can talk about opportunity, how big the opportunity is, how do you guys see the opportunity, and how big you guys see in Canada versus the global market?
So one of the key points, it's not one department that uses our platform. So we built the platform, one, to be multi-technology capable, but then also have capability within the platform in order to have multiple departments using the same platform to do multiple testing. So in that, for example, a marketing team can try a campaign on the probes. These feel like living, working customers, even though they're not. They're basically probes, and you can actually run it, test it, try to exceed the service, diminish the service, and all that. See the behavior, and then decide, hey, this is a fantastic campaign that we can do, and we know that we'll have success because you can test the provisioning system, you can test a number of different parameters with this platform, right? But on the same token, you take then IoT, and you have, for example, the driverless cars or some other pieces that you want to test. Well, our platform also has the capability to test that and actually see what the behavior is. So with that, it kind of gives you then a bit better insight prior to you actually launching a service or doing any moderations or modifications as to how you want to deliver the service. Right? Because you may take a stepped approach and saying our network has this capability right now, we'll do the next capability. So how do we, and then let's ensure that our hypothesis is correct. Use the platform because again, they are robotic customers that you can get the feedback instantly from.
So how big is opportunity offer? Is it in Canada or worldwide? You guys in a global market?
This is a worldwide opportunity at this point. This is not, I'm not the only one in the business. There's a lot of much larger companies. There's a couple of billion-dollar companies that are my competition.
Yeah.
But again, our advantage is that the way I look at the market is, how can I get in, have an engineering conversation with that company, and then coming in at a reasonable environment, a reasonable price, that I still get an opportunity to work and to show off our platform, and that's what we've been doing. So there's also the other part, which is the harder part, which is sometimes the reputation of those larger companies prevents you from even getting a foot in the door. So it's the opportunity is there. You just have to dig and work that much harder to kind of get the opportunity in order to kind of demonstrate and all that. The success has been that once we are able to demonstrate and do that, we have normally gotten in. And if not, gotten a small piece and kind of work alongside some of the bigger ones, but to kind of show our strength. Our company is extremely agile in regards of, we have developers for several disciplines that we can bring on, take off, do that. And so it's like, we can move and groove a little bit faster than some of the larger companies. That's our main advantage. And then the second part is we're here to provide some service. So it's, again, those are the type of things. But the opportunities to come back on that are tremendous in this environment right now.
I see.
Because it becomes a lifeline service, right? 5G is kind of shaping, and especially already 6G is on the advent of 5G. So it's like it's starting to accelerate that much quicker. So again,
interesting.
it's one of those things that, hey, we need to kind of stay on top of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, this is what our niche is, and that's why we can dig in so good and kind of do some research and development from that.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, Albert, we talk about opportunity, but let's talk about some of the challenges. Every time we have a technical business, also in my industry the same. How do sometimes explaining your technical service is a little bit difficult because business leaders you engage with most of the time. Moment you mention a technical service, that's not their purview. So how do you handle that challenge? And what would you say the biggest challenges for your growth that you guys have to overcome?
So people will probably notice that my video angle has changed. So that this is a prime example. So for whatever reason, my camera just stopped working. Welcome to the real world, right?
Yeah.
And this sort of stuff happens to businesses as well. Often when you talk to CTOs, CFOs, CEOs, as to technical challenges and all that, the hard part is it's almost that you have to have something like the leaky roof syndrome. So it almost needs to be happening to some degree. So in the case for our technology, for example, since we are like a niche technology, because of that, our sales cycle become a lot longer, right? Okay. So you have to start having conversations with the crew, with the teams, and making them understand what is going on, what is the background, what is all of that. And then as you kind of build the relationship from that perspective, hopefully, which is sad to say, something goes wrong. And then you can actually show, hey, here's a possible solution. So challenges. In regards to challenges, the biggest challenge today is that telecom companies are really scrutinizing their budgets. It's just the pressure on being public companies and having to maintain their stock pricing and all that. They're continuously looking inside as to what they can do to create better efficiencies. So what that means from a vendor perspective is that you need to come in at a really good, and I wouldn't say frugal, but near frugal price to kind of provide that service. And you have to kind of tie that immediately to some sort of a return on investment. If you don't have a clear correlation between your technology and a return on investment,
you get challenged.
Challenge is lost, right? So what we have normally done is that we normally start talking to the quality assurance, to some of the engineering teams, and making them understand, here's a technology that you guys may have not been aware of, that to kind of help them understand as to how and what and where the benefits will be in order to kind of make the technology work for them, right? And then you have the competition that will come in. And sometimes some of the competition will say, okay, well, I want you as a company, so I'm going to give you the equipment free, and let's start talking. Well, again, it's a never-ending battle. It's also, so it's not only the strength of your technology, but then also the understanding of what value do you bring to the company, not you as just as an individual, but you as a technology, and what is then the return on that technology, the actual money return? Because CFOs, CTOs, CEOs will only say, if I spend $1 and I get $3 back, that's what I'm doing. But if I'm spending $1 and I just get $1 back, like, aren't there better options or better values out there that I can spend my money at, right? And so the value and the building of the relationship are two key things that you actually have to work on a continual basis, right? And that's how hopefully you can overcome some of the challenges for these pieces. And it is a difficult part to do.
Every business, that's difficult piece.
And the part is, so having talked to a number of CFOs, CTOs, and CEOs, you sometimes get intimidated because, I'm talking to the CTO of this company. I'm talking to, the part is the way I try to approach everybody that I meet. I look at that person and say, that's a person. And that person will need certain pieces of things in order to kind of be stronger, or how can I enrich their perspective from a career or life or anything like that. So it's, there's been successes, there's been failures where people just go like, okay, I don't want to talk to you. And as the CEO of my company, you have to be prepared to kind of deal with the rejection. And just kind of, you can't take it to heart, right? Because no is going to come quite often.
And we know that in business, that's part of it, right?
And that's part of it. But it's what a lot of people don't realize is how often that no can come, and how some people find it so demoralizing.
It come more often than a yes.
Yeah, definitely. We always want the yes, right? And there's many books written on how to get to yes, how to make, this. A lot of stuff comes down to standard, one-to-one, people-to-people, and making the product sound, and proving that the product, not making the product, proving that the product has value for that person at that time.
So first, they don't have your information. You got to provide information. Then you got to provide education, around that information. Hey, this is what we need to add value. And then you got to, build a relationship, and hopefully they can, it's like, definitely big part of, it's big investment for any business to educating people and trying to solve the problem. Where if it's transactional, you can simply solve the problem. Hey, I solve 1, 2, 3 problems, and you can go with. Is that the same problem global market? If you can talk about a Canadian company going globally, is it the same challenge, or is it a little bit different challenge globally?
So from a Canadian company going global, you also then deal with the cultural differences, right? Now, I'm originally from the Caribbean, and so I've been living in Canada for a long time. But I've also had the opportunity to live in many different countries prior to coming to Canada, and also since I've been in Canada, also working and living in different countries. So it gives you a better appreciation for some of the intricacies of how to deal with people in certain places. In South America, for example, the personal relationship is very key. Personal relationship is key in every situation, but they feel that if they do negotiations, they almost want you there. So you have to be prepared to kind of travel to certain places and do the face-to-face. Now with the pandemic, that's been a little bit more difficult, but that's also, I think, why a lot of people put a stop on a lot of negotiations. Because, and the same goes for the Middle East. It's very person to person. And you have to provide a lot of different pieces of information and help educate that person so that they can move forward and they can become a system matter expert basically on your technology and explain it to their superiors as to what the value and capability of that is. The biggest challenge that I see for a Canadian company going international is the cultural difference and knowing how to deal with that. And so we don't profess to be all knowing, all doing. So one of the things that we have overcome that is we deal with a lot of local companies as channel partners.
I see.
Right? So again, you work with a channel partner who has often the relationship already with some of the telecom companies. And then you also provide a capability to teach them, learn, so that they can start selling your product on a more regular basis. Makes money for them. They may be able to provide some managed services, more money for them. And again, so the way we look at it is like, how can we help promote another company to promote our product and make some more money on that? And then, so if we then just kind of stay in the sales channel perspective, it really works really good for us. It also saves us on having to build a large sales force, right? And the other challenge is focus on your core.
Okay.
What's your company do? So the part is also, especially if you go international, because you need to have a significant budget for some travel. And if you think it's always you, you're going to lose. So you need to build a team that has that capability to do that. So you need to build some of a sales force within your company. But for example, we have outsourced our finances to a third-party company because for us to have financial people in-house, it doesn't add to our core, right? So sometimes to look at our IT services, we've outsourced our IT services because again, it doesn't pay for us to have, that's not our core. And then, so we looked at, in addition, we look at technologies. So we deal with radio technology, fiber technology, network technology, wireless, mobile technology, IoT. Then we also deal with technology that is embedded on CPUs and all that. If you hired everybody for each practice on a continual basis, you go broke.
Yeah.
So we are very specific as to how do we target the technologies. Do we get the right engineers that we can get on a contractual basis for a specific project, and then bring that knowledge in-house? So my core developers, my core operations people, these are the people that we focus on in kind of enriching by bringing other contractors in sometimes, teaching them how to do certain things. There's other parts that, for example, we manufacture our own equipment. To manufacture all our own motherboards and all of that, I do have a couple of engineers that specifically are board. I call them my board engineers. That's not the correct term, but they work normally with 3 or 4 other ones to kind of enhance their knowledge, so that then we know exactly what our boards do. We know how they interface to our phones. We know how they interface to the network. We know all of that parameters, but we don't do the full design.
I see.
And then, so we also are very specific as to how we manufacture. We chose to manufacture in Canada. 1, we have full control. 2, our quantities are not in the millions and those numbers. We normally are in the hundreds to thousands. So yes, do you pay a little bit more? But we also build our technology with a 5 to 10 year life expectancy. So our life cycle. So when we build a platform that we use for our probes, we can interchange components on it to stay active and valid with the technology that is developing.
I see.
But the base of the platform is like buying a computer with enough RAM, enough hard drive and that sort of stuff that you can do multiple generations and then just keep building on it. So instead, now you have a platform that can be in existence 5 to 10 years. The difference with that is that it helps our customers as well, because we'll say to them, all we need is to upgrade this piece. So
see.
there's no major renewal on equipment and all of that. It's also saves on network availability. So for example, because we have probes all over the networks, we don't have to kind of keep finding new locations, doing all this. We keep expanding the network as companies grow, but there's also a lot of stability in the platform. It's a very stable, well-engineered platform that does the job.
And does it for a long time, because
it's for a long time, because we do. So for one of the Canadian telecom companies, we do 3 million tests per day. Right. So you want something that's stable, that works, that can handle the load and do what it needs to do. Right. So in that also, it helps with technology transfer, so that the platform is not radically changing, even though the technology has changed. A lot of the parameters that we accumulate as we go from 3G, 4G, 5G, the parameters are similar but different. I see. So it's an accumulative knowledge transfer that we do.
Interesting. Right? So let's talk about talent. You mentioned a couple of things in talent. Yeah. Is it difficult to find a talent in Canada? How do you guys sustain that? Talent you're looking for is very specific engineering talent you're looking for. Is there challenges, or are you finding the talent what you need in Canada?
So we've been lucky so far to find talent locally, but we've also opened a small office in India and been able to kind of get some talent there. They often do our quality assurance and quality control. Some really smart people that we've been able to attract there. The part that we've been lucky in that the partners that I built the company with, we all have been in the business 25, 30 years. I see. And with that, we come with extensive networks of people that we know. And often if we don't know somebody, somebody in our network will know somebody. And again, then we'll kind of just deal with that person on a contractual basis and saying, here's the project, this is what we can do. Are you interested? Right? So we've been lucky enough that we've been able to get most of it. Now there are some technologies, and especially now in 5G, of course, everybody's learning as the technology is developing. They're a little bit harder to get because everybody is kind of hunting them now to get them for their own networks. Yeah. But again, we've been lucky enough to kind of get time from this one, time from that one, time here. So we've been able to engage about 6 or 7 different engineering resources at different times for different technologies within the engineering resources. So it's not easy, but it is possible. Yeah. And for one technology, we couldn't find anybody in North America, but we did find them in Singapore. Yeah. So the way we have also set up our company, and this was way pre-pandemic, is that we have the capability of working from anywhere. I see. So by setting up a proper VPN structure and remote allocation, so we provide our contractors with routers, remote working routers. It makes it a lot simpler, and then that way we can shield everything that comes in the network. We can control everything that goes out of our network. It's a lot easier that way, right? And again, this comes with when you outsource some of your IT and you get then the best of the best to kind of help with all the different pieces. Yeah. Again, it's not us designing this. We always need help. Yeah. Like people like yourself, right? Yeah. That can bring that expertise to the table.
It's a challenge for every business. That's why I ask, business leader watching, wanting to see that, want to see and hear that, how there's many different ways of solving those problems, right? We all solve talent problem differently than each other, right? So, we solve it differently, you're going to solve it differently, but as long as you can figure out, we always hear the news that, there's a shortage of talent in Canada, people coming overseas. But, as long as you can figure out how to solve those problems, I think, that just is a unique problem for every business, right?
And again, I see too many companies focused on saying, I need to have that person, rather than going like, well, that person's in the industry. How can we get that knowledge over? And maybe sometimes that means you outsource that person, right?
Yeah,
So
piece of the process, outsource piece of the process.
Exactly.
Let them handle that piece, and you handle the rest of the piece.
Yeah, like for example, security is huge in our industry. So to kind of have the best security analysts and security specialists and all of that, I don't run a security practice. So again, we outsource that.
Yeah.
Right. So we kind of look at, okay, this is what the project needs to be done. And what we have is the engineers that work with us just get better and smarter because they get all this knowledge reabsorbed in them.
Yeah. So
we've been able to kind of enhance our security stance with everything based on that as well.
Interesting.
So that's another part. And that's the beauty of if you do your outsourcing correctly with a knowledge transfer at the end, documentation, knowledge transfer, it really makes a difference to the company because it just makes the company stronger. Right.
Well, you're not going to build that kind of knowledge, internally. So you need to seek that knowledge outside because these people have that knowledge, right? Correct. Now you want to partner with them and then bring the knowledge in-house eventually.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What I'm hearing is that key partnership is a key for your business. Even with the client side to grow business is a partnership is a key. Working in your own developing product, partnership with your talent pool is also key. Looks like the partnership in a business is a key no matter what we do. Either we sell it or we build the companies, right?
Right. Correct.
Interesting. Let's talk about you, Alfred. How did you inspire to be in this business? How did you get involved? What you were doing before?
Well, believe it or not, my mom wanted me to be a doctor.
Okay.
So
doctor of a network analysis.
and my dad. So I'm the first one of our family to kind of break away from the sea tradition. So my family's always been involved in the sea, from either captains, fishermen, or anything like that. And I grew up in the Caribbean originally. And so I thought I wanted to be a doctor as well. And because my mom had me convinced. So I get to university and start a biology degree. And in my second year, you could do some medical courses like human anatomy and all that. And we came to a conclusion. No way, Jose. Not a chance. I can break a computer.
Yeah.
I can't break a human.
Yeah.
So it's like, so decided to do engineering and did engineering with a focus on telecommunications. And got in the cable industry, first in Newfoundland. Worked for a good company there, and then Rogers bought that company, and I have been with Rogers for a good 20 years.
Wow.
Rogers gave me a lot of fantastic opportunities to build my career, and when I left Rogers, I was a senior director. I started as a technician and kind of worked my way through, and worked in different departments, different opportunities. Then in 2012, I've always wanted to go back to the Caribbean. So I actually looked for a job and got a job with Digicel, and helped rebuild a whole bunch of different islands in the Northern Caribbean, which was fantastic for a 2-year stint. Then came back to Canada and actually talking to some of my current partners, which I had worked with, because I had done a stint in security. I've done a stint in network building. I had done a stint in a variety of different parameters in regards of network operations, engineering, quality assurance. And I go like, so what I learned in the Caribbean is saying, hey, I don't really need to work for somebody. I think I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming back to Canada, speaking with my partners, we had an opportunity to buy a division from a large test and measurement company and started this company. And we've slowly been building up the company, and so far, except for the pandemic, it's been a joy actually to do this. I'm incredibly proud of my team. Like, we've been able to kind of build a team. A lot of them are entrepreneurs on my team, and want to kind of keep building our company and all of that. So it's actually a joy going to work. Yeah, actually, what you're seeing today is I'm working from home in the preparation for this. Because if I stay at work, my door's normally open and there's a lot of traffic coming in. But this is my home office. Nice. I'm also a Dolphin fanatic, so I love the Miami Dolphins. If you didn't notice all of the craziness around me.
I was about to ask you, I see a lot of helmets there.
Yeah. Dan Marino has always been a hero of mine, and so a number of the helmets are signed by his coach and by him, and I was at this Hall of Fame. But I've been basically in the telecom industry for close to 30 years, and I'm glad. I'm actually happy where I am today. It's a very satisfying place to be. I feel that we're always helping companies, so it's good in that aspect, and you know, it's cool to do, because the other nerd part of me is I love new technology and I love toys. So with this work, I actually get to do both. So I get to play with all the newest technologies and all of that. So it's a cool place to be.
Yeah. Well, nothing more rewarding when you build a company and you see it growing and excelling on what you wanted to do. I mean, you know, there's no better reward that you can think of, right? Interesting. Any message you want to leave that, you know, business leaders or business owners who are trying to build a technical company, doesn't have to be, you know, our industry, any technical business, any word of wisdom that you want to leave a message for them, you know, if there's somebody trying to build
a couple of things.
Okay.
Do what you enjoy. Focus on your core. Don't let all the other stuff, all the administrative stuff around you bog you down. And have fun. Yeah. Because life's too short. It's the part is, if you start a company and you don't enjoy what you're doing, it's very difficult to kind of keep pushing, because there's a lot of downtime and stuff that comes at you, negativity that comes at you.
Definitely.
You need to be passionate. You need to be passionate about your business.
That's so true. If you don't love what you do, you're gonna get hit by a lot of obstacles, and very hard to get through those obstacles when if you don't really love what you do. You know, it just love of your business, what you do is keep you going, moving forward on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah. So the other part that we try to do too is celebrate our successes, because where you get so many negative no's, and then when you have the success, is to celebrate it. And we do that as a company. So we celebrate that in different ways. We've done, company picnics, or we've done some stuff in the office, or gone out for wings or something like that. Yeah. But the more important part is I also make sure that I profit share with my people. Yeah. So that actually adds a big part. And, you know, that's why I'm so proud of my team. They all know and they all want to make the company succeed. And when you have a team of people kind of working together like that, there's no better feeling.
Yeah. We implemented that about a couple of years ago as well, Prophet. You know, and I saw that dramatic change in attitude and people's behavior, and also, you know, and how much care they show to the customers, because they're all part of the business, right? It's not only one person running; everybody's part of it. The amount of care they show to customers is ordinary, you know.
Yeah, I mean, our companies are smaller, so we can do that. But if you always find a way to empower people, I think people will empower you. So it's always a good thing, right?
Interesting. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you, have a conversation on your product or your company or yourself? Where can they find you? How can they connect with you?
So my email is Engelhardt@RCATSONE, and RCATSONE is a difficult name to say. Yeah. We also have our website, www.rcatsone.com. And we have also our LinkedIn for RCATSONE. So reach out to any of those environments and we'll reach back.
Yeah, I will include the links to all three below the video as well. People can click a link and they can reach out to you. Definitely, we all in a business in locally in Ontario and Canada. We all trying to build the businesses. You solve problem, I solve differently. We all solve problem differently. But I will definitely encourage business leaders to reach out to you, have a conversation, and who knows, down the road we can help each other and solve some of the problems. Yeah, definitely the road you travel, somebody trying to travel the same road, they should definitely reach out to you, have connect with you.
We can always learn from each other, right?
Always. Definitely. Business problem all the same. We all solve it just differently. Correct. Good stuff. Thank you so much for your time, Alfred. It was an interesting discussion. I learned so much from you.
Gurmeet, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it as well.
Likewise.
And thank you.
Okay, great. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi there. Thank you so much for investing time with us and watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. For next episode, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and send your feedback. Until next time, have yourself a great day. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.